Good morning, everybody. It's Mike. Hey, thanks for joining me this morning. Yesterday I started a series that I'm going to interrupt. We started talking about a day in a life of a highly productive agent. And I was using a friend of mine that's about a $23 million producer and showing you what her typical day looks like for her and how she schedules herself to deal with her business and her family and her personal life. But I want to interrupt it today because I know so many of us are running into objections. Customers that have reasonable or unreasonable objections. Like what? Well, have you ever heard anything like this? Why aren't I getting more showings on our listing? Why haven't I gotten offers on my house? Why didn't they accept the offer we made to buy that house? Your commission's too high. I don't want to list the house, just bring me a buyer. Have you ever heard things like that? Well, these are what we would commonly refer to as objections. And I want to give you a 5-step strategy this morning for dealing with objections, because get ready, it's the rest of your career. Okay? I've been in Atlanta real estate for 33 years. All of these objections and more existed 33 years ago and today, and they will exist 33 years from now. They're never going away. Most of them are actually reasonable. So let's dive into it. Let me see if I can offer you a 5-step strategy for effectively dealing and handling the objections. First step is understand where they're coming from. Understand where they're coming from. A lot of these objections aren't unreasonable. If I had my home for sale, I would wonder, well, we had a showing this past weekend. What happened with these people? Why haven't I heard anything back? How many showings a week should I have? How many showings to generate an offer? How long is it going to take to sell my house? And absent information, absent data, absent facts, I'm going to start making up my own answers. So what I advise to all agents is, hey, with your customers, help them set reasonable expectations. Help them set reasonable expectations. Last night I was having a conversation with a neighbor of mine who has his house for sale, and he's asking me questions like I'm his agent. I'm not. He lives up the street and he's saying, so Mike, how's the real estate market? And I said, well, it's great. I mean, June looks really solid. July looks even better. And he goes, then why do you think I've only gotten like 2 showings in the 3 weeks I've been on the market? And I said, well, I don't know. How many showings do you think you should have? And he said, well, I don't know, but it should be more than 2. I said, well, okay. Well, how many should it be? He goes, well, I don't know. I just feel like it should be more, and I don't understand why it's not. He doesn't know how many it should be. Nobody's taken the time to help him understand it. Nobody's giving the data or the facts, the statistics. Though it's available to us on FMLS, there's a report section which will give you all of that information if you want it, if you want to understand it. Every board in the Atlanta area every month sends out a market update report. FMLS, I have it on one of my screens. They sent out a market update report. They sent it to me because they know that we won't go looking for it. GAR sends out a statewide report every month. But are we looking at it? Are we trying to understand it? And are we conveying that information to our customers so that, like my neighbor, can have reasonable expectations? I don't know. How many showings should he be having every week? After 3 weeks on the market, how many? He's had 2 and he's had 1 offer. He doesn't really know if that's good or bad. Helping them first, we understand the information that's available to us at no cost, and then sharing it with our customers so that they can establish reasonable expectations for themselves. Number 2, regular communication. So you know my philosophy on this is if you're going to take a listing, then you have an obligation to listen to me now, to speak with them every week. I didn't say to text them every week. I didn't say to email them every week. I didn't say to Facebook Messenger them every week. I didn't say to leave them a voicemail message. I said to speak with them every week. Well, Mike, some people don't want to talk, they just want to text. Then I'm not taking their listing, and I'll tell them that. Why? Because they will use that very thing to complain about me later on in the process. Well, I'm not hearing anything from my agent. Well, I'm texting you all the time like you asked me to. It's not the same thing, folks. So during the listing process, I actually say this to people. So, Mr. Smith, is communication important to you? And they always say yes. Understand this, folks, just stepping aside from that for a second. The number one complaint that consumers have had about their real estate agent for the past 3 decades has always been the same thing: lack of communication. Well, I can fix that. Mr. Smith, communication is vitally important to me. It is critical that you and I have a conversation every Thursday between 4 and 6. Of course, you can make it whatever day and time works best for you. But Thursdays between 4 and 6 is what I like to use. So, Mr. Smith, it is critical that we have a conversation to review your listing every Thursday between 4 and 6. Would that work for you? Yes. Great. It's so important that if you're not willing to have a weekly conversation with me, and that means you and I on the phone or in person speaking with each other, I wouldn't be able to list your home. That's how important it is. And that's how important I believe it is. Now, you can have whatever opinion you want, but my 3 decades in Atlanta real estate have told me that nothing is replacing that live conversation. Even if the customer says, I prefer to text. My response is, I understand that, but I found this to be critically important, so I want to request a real conversation with you every week at a set day and time. So let's find a good time in each of our schedules to make that happen. Because I know through experience that if we don't, their number one complaint about me at some point in the near future is going to be lack of communication. So regular communication is number 2. Number 3 in your 5-part strategy for dealing effectively with the objections you're going to get is that setting expectations. Number 1, understand where the objections are coming from. Of course they don't want to pay you a 6% commission. Of course they want to price their home too high. Of course they want 10 showings a week even though it's overpriced. Of course they all do. And if I was putting my house up for sale, I probably would too. Consumers having unrealistic expectations? Of course you do. I understand where it's coming from. I've got a plan for dealing with it. Number 2, we're going to talk about it every week. Number 3, I'm going to use the data available to me to help you understand the marketplace. So my neighbor, I said, so Bill, how long did you think it was going to take your home to sell? Well, we just thought the market was going to make a strong rebound this summer, and it's a nice house, and we priced it right, so it should sell. I said, well, I don't know. I think homes in the neighborhood on average take about 7 to 8 months to sell. And he's just shocked. Really? Why is that the first time you're hearing that? Because nobody told him. Nobody helped him understand it. He doesn't know how much negotiation room he should have in his price. He doesn't know how long it should take. He doesn't know on average how many showings he should get for every offer that he gets. He doesn't know because expectations weren't set. I'm going to use the data, number 4, I'm going to use the data available to me. I'm going to have facts and statistics, not opinions. Not opinions. Number 5, probably the most important part, or at least the second most important part behind the regular communication, is every day, every single day that I work, I would need to practice this. What I say and how I say it and respond to the constant, never changing objections. Every objection that you run into in your business has existed for decades. How do I respond to it? What do I say? How do I say it? And understanding that practicing is critically important to every professional in the world. So my tip for you is find a practice buddy. Somebody that every morning you can practice with. I know here at my office we have an 8 o'clock practice session where we work on what to say, how to say it. The psychology of selling. Every day. If you don't have a group like that that you can practice with, find somebody that you can practice with. Somebody that's in the business and understands how customers, where they're coming from, how they say it, and what the common objections they are. Folks, objections, just part of the business, not unusual. It's not just happening to you. Everybody's getting it. Everybody. The skilled pro understands it's not the objection. It's how I deal with it that'll make all the difference in my career. So find a practice buddy, work on this every day, use your data and statistics that are available to you to have effective conversations with your folks, and go out there and make it happen for yourself today.